From trusted bodyguard to mafia boss, James "Little Jimmy" Marcello's life reads like a true crime thriller. Linked to brutal murders and million-dollar schemes, Marcello climbed the ranks of the Chicago outfit, all while keeping the secrets of a criminal empire. In this video, we explore his chilling initiation into the Mafia, his involvement in the infamous family secrets trial, and the betrayals that led to his life sentence. James "Little Jimmy" Marcello, a name synonymous with the Chicago Mafia, was no stranger to the perils of the criminal underworld. Born on December 23, 1943, in a time when the Chicago outfit reigned supreme, Marcello was thrust into a world where loyalty and survival were two sides of the same coin. His involvement in the outfit came during its peak, yet he didn't experience the same luxuries or influence as many of the mobsters who preceded him. By the time Marcello was making his mark, the mob was already past its golden age, and federal crackdowns were slowly eroding its power. Despite not enjoying the same level of wealth or public stature as the infamous mafia bosses of the past, Marcello remained fully committed to the life he had chosen. He was aware of the risks involved, but for men like him, there was an unspoken code, an allegiance to the organization that demanded loyalty above all else. Unlike his predecessors who had reveled in the lavish rewards that came with being at the top of the Mafia, Marcello operated during a time when the outfit was more focused on staying under the radar, avoiding the kind of attention that had brought down many of its former leaders. Marcello's rise to power within the Chicago Mafia, often referred to as the Chicago outfit, was steady. As the mob's influence waned, Marcello's influence grew, but it was clear that his leadership would be shaped more by caution than by ambition. He was part of a new generation of mafia bosses who had to navigate a different landscape, one where law enforcement was constantly on their heels, and the days of untouchable mobsters were long gone. Still, despite these challenges, Marcello remained steadfast, embodying the silent resilience that had kept the outfit alive for decades. He may not have enjoyed the same privileges or notoriety as earlier mobsters, but he knew exactly what he was getting into. Marcello accepted his fate with a kind of stoic pragmatism that only those deeply embedded in the mafia life could understand. His story is not one of excess or unchecked power, but one of survival, loyalty, and a deep understanding of the criminal empire that he helped lead. It was a quiet Sunday in the early days of October 1983 when James "Little Jimmy" Marcello found himself in an exclusive, closed restaurant located in the western part of Cook County. This wasn't just an ordinary gathering. Marcello was surrounded by men connected to the notorious Chicago Mafia family, known as the Outfit. However, not every man present was officially part of the organization yet. In fact, that was the very reason they had come together in such secrecy at this isolated location. As the day unfolded, one by one, these men were summoned into the restaurant's dimly lit dining area. Each of them was escorted by Al the Pizza Man Tornabene, a high-ranking, made member of the Chicago Heights crew. Tornabene guided them to a scene of tradition and power, where Marcello joined a select group of seasoned mafia members already seated at the table. These men weren't ordinary criminals. They held the rank of Capo Regime, or Capo, and each one commanded their own crew of loyal associates. The man at the head of the table, presiding over the ritual, was none other than Joseph "Joey" Del Zaiappa, the reigning boss of the Chicago outfit and a feared figure in the underworld. In the middle of the table lay three symbolic objects: a knife, a gun, and a candle, each one representing the violent and secretive nature of the world Marcello was about to fully enter. This was no ordinary meeting. This was the sacred Mafia initiation ceremony. Marcello, standing before these powerful men, was about to swear a binding oath, the same oath that all members of Cosa Nostra must take when they are inducted into the organization. As part of this solemn ritual, Marcello was handed a card featuring the image of a Catholic saint. With great seriousness, he set the card aflame, watching as it slowly turned to ash in his hands. He then recited the chilling words, "If I give up my brothers, may I burn in hell like this holy picture." These words were not just a promise, they were a warning, a reminder of the loyalty and secrecy demanded by the Mafia. The ritual was not complete until Iappa reached over and pricked Marcello's finger, drawing a single drop of blood. This act symbolized Marcello's blood oath to the organization, marking the moment when he officially became a made member of both the Chicago outfit and the larger American Mafia. From that moment on, Marcello was untouchable, protected by the Brotherhood of the Mafia, yet bound by its ironclad code of silence. His life had irrevocably changed. He had now entered a world from which there was no turning back. The ceremony not only secured his position within the organization but also marked his full transformation into a man who would be loyal to the outfit until his last breath. James Marcello's close relationship with Joseph "Joey Doves" Iappa would prove pivotal in his rise through the ranks of the Chicago outfit. Over time, Marcello became much more than just another member. He served as Iappa's personal bodyguard and chauffeur, a role highly coveted within mob circles. Being the right-hand man to the boss afforded Marcello an invaluable opportunity to observe and learn directly from the top, immersing himself in the inner workings of the Mafia. This position not only provided him with critical insight into how the outfit operated, but also gave him access to powerful mob figures, not just in Chicago but across the broader American Mafia network. This was a stepping stone that few mobsters had the privilege to experience. Marcello's loyalty and competence earned him the trust of another high-ranking figure within the outfit, Samuel "Wings" Carlisi, who led the notorious Melrose Park crew. Marcello served under Carlisi, continuing to build his influence and position within the organization. Carlisi's crew was deeply involved in illicit activities like loansharking, bookmaking, and other racketeering operations, and Marcello was right at the center of it all. His role as Carlisi's underboss cemented his status as a key player in the Chicago outfit, making him one of the most influential mobsters operating under Carlisi's leadership. By December 1992, law enforcement had been closely monitoring the activities of the Melrose Park crew for some time, and their investigation culminated in a series of indictments. Marcello, along with Carlisi and several other members of the crew, was charged with racketeering. According to prosecutors, Marcello had been overseeing the crew's extensive bookmaking and loansharking operations, generating substantial profits for the outfit. But the charges didn't stop there. Authorities also accused Marcello and Carlisi of plotting the assassination of Anthony Dadino, a mob associate who had fallen out of favor with the organization. The case against Marcello and Carlisi was strong, and in 1993, both men were convicted of racketeering charges. Marcello was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison, while Carlisi received a 13-year sentence. Although the convictions marked a significant blow to their criminal empire, it also highlighted the extent of Marcello's rise within the outfit. Despite the prison sentence, Marcello's involvement in the Chicago Mafia was far from over. His years of serving powerful figures like Iappa and Carlisi had solidified his standing in the mob, ensuring that his influence would continue, even from behind bars. The Melrose Park crew might have been dismantled in the wake of these convictions, but Marcello's loyalty to the outfit and his deep understanding of its operations would endure, securing his place as one of the Chicago outfit's most respected members. James Marcello had established himself as a figure of unwavering loyalty, sharp intelligence, and remarkable skill within the world of organized crime. He wasn't just a trusted lieutenant or bodyguard. Marcello had the rare ability to generate substantial profits for the Chicago outfit. His knack for business was undeniable, and it was this talent that allowed him to build a lucrative side operation with his brother, Michael. The two brothers founded and operated M&M Amusement, a video poker machine business that became a significant source of wealth. The business appeared legitimate on the surface, as the video poker machines were installed in bars and restaurants under the pretense of providing harmless amusement. However, behind this seemingly innocent setup lay a highly profitable scheme designed to bypass gambling laws. While gambling was technically illegal, the Marcello brothers had devised a clever way to skirt the law. The poker machines operated like any typical amusement device, but trusted customers, those who had proven their discretion, could exchange their credits for real cash winnings. This secret arrangement allowed M&M Amusement to rake in huge sums of money, all while maintaining the appearance of a legitimate business. For those in the know, Playing the game became a discreet way to gamble, and for Marcello, it became a way to funnel millions of dollars into the outfit's coffers without drawing unnecessary attention. However, the success of M&M Amusement did not go unnoticed by authorities. After years of operating under the radar, law enforcement began to investigate the true extent of the business's earnings. What they uncovered was a massive underreporting of income. Between 1996 and 2003, it was estimated that the Marcello brothers had concealed over $4 million in revenue from their video poker operations. This discovery shed light on the scale of the operation, revealing that M&M Amusement was far more than just a small-time enterprise. It was a carefully orchestrated scheme that allowed Marcello to accumulate significant wealth while avoiding legal scrutiny. The millions generated by the business solidified Marcello's position as a key player within the Chicago outfit. His ability to navigate both the criminal underworld and the veneer of legality demonstrated his cunning and resourcefulness. While law enforcement eventually caught up with the underreporting, the profits had already been made, and Marcello's reputation as a savvy earner was firmly established. He had shown that he not only knew how to survive in the world of organized crime, but also how to thrive, making millions in the process while maintaining his loyalty to the outfit. James Marcello wasn't just known for his business acumen within the Chicago outfit, he was also suspected of being a seasoned killer. His reputation for violence became a focal point when his fellow outfit member, Nicholas Calabrese, made the pivotal decision to flip and cooperate with federal authorities. Calabrese's testimony painted Marcello as more than just a mob boss who orchestrated financial schemes. He was allegedly deeply involved in the darker, more lethal side of the organization. Calabrese's decision to turn state witness was a game-changer, and the prosecutors believed every word he said. By April 2005, the federal government had built a formidable case, charging Marcello, along with other prominent Chicago Mafia leaders and hitmen, with a series of murders and racketeering crimes. One of the most damning accusations leveled against Marcello was his alleged involvement in the infamous 1981 murder of Nicholas D'Andrea. However, the real centerpiece of the charges was Marcello's purported role in the brutal 1986 double homicide of Anthony and Michael Spilotro, brothers who had once been key figures in the outfit before they fell out of favor. The gruesome murders of the Spilotro brothers were immortalized in Martin Scorsese's iconic gangster film Casino, bringing a notorious chapter of Chicago Mafia history to the big screen. In the movie, the brothers' violent deaths are depicted as a turning point in the story, and in real life, the killings became a symbol of the outfit's ruthless approach to dealing with disloyalty. Federal authorities, eager to bolster Calabrese's testimony, took extraordinary steps to ensure they had all the evidence they needed. They placed hidden cameras and bugs in the prison where Marcello was incarcerated, secretly recording his visits from his brother Michael and other close associates within the mob. Even behind bars, Marcello remained a careful, calculating figure. He was acutely aware of the possibility that law enforcement might be listening, and he took great pains to communicate in coded language, often using vague references and, at times, even covering his mouth to obscure what he was saying, just like the characters in Casino had done. Marcello's awareness of law enforcement tactics reflected the deep paranoia that had become second nature to him after years of navigating the criminal underworld. Yet, despite Marcello's best efforts to evade detection, the conversations caught on tape provided subtle but telling hints about the subjects being discussed. In one particularly revealing exchange, Michael spoke to James about the Zhivago deal. Michael was referring to a news story published in the Chicago Tribune that centered on Zhivago and his brother. There was only one major news article at the time that focused on two brothers, an unmistakable reference to the Spilotro brothers and their brutal demise. While Marcello and his associates never openly admitted to the murders during these conversations, the cryptic language and coded references were enough to give investigators further insight into the outfit's operations and Marcello's potential involvement in these high-profile killings. The use of such coded language, combined with Calabrese's damning testimony, painted a vivid picture of Marcello's involvement in some of the most notorious murders in the Chicago Mafia's history. Despite his efforts to remain untouchable and his ability to play both sides of the law, Marcello's past was beginning to catch up with him. The case against him would become one of the most significant mafia trials of the 21st century, bringing to light the secretive and violent world in which James Marcello had thrived for so long. Suspicions about Nicholas Calabrese potentially flipping and becoming a government witness were quietly brewing within the Chicago outfit, and those suspicions were largely fueled by none other than his own brother. Frank Calabrese Sr. Frank had openly voiced doubts about his siblings' loyalty, casting a shadow of mistrust over Nicholas. Sensing the winds of betrayal, James Marcello, always the cautious and strategic operator, took preemptive steps to protect his own interests. Each month, he made $4,000 payments to Nicholas Calabrese's family. On the surface, this could be seen as a routine gesture. Taking care of the families of imprisoned mobsters was a supposed tradition in the Mafia, although it was a rule often conveniently forgotten. For Marcello, however, this wasn't just about upholding a custom. It was an investment in securing Nicholas's sympathy and, with any luck, some degree of protection. Marcello knew the value of calculated generosity in the Mafia world. "I told you," he confided to his brother Michael during one of their prison visits, "that was the best investment. Believe me." For a time, Marcello's plans seemed to work. Nicholas Calabrese, despite being in a position to expose countless criminal activities, carefully omitted Marcello from several crucial parts of his testimony. It appeared, for a moment, that Marcello's financial support had bought him some time, maybe even safety. But loyalty, especially in the high-stakes world of organized crime, is fragile. Eventually, Nicholas Calabrese could no longer hold back. Under the mounting pressure of his cooperation with the authorities, he revealed the full extent of what he knew, and Marcello's name inevitably surfaced in the mix of mob secrets that were spilled. As the investigation deepened, federal agents began seeking DNA samples from several high-ranking members of the Chicago Mafia, Marcello included. When the agents approached him, Marcello initially thought it was a routine procedure. "I thought it was going to be a piss test," he later explained to his brother during a conversation. Even though the request caught him off guard, his thoughts quickly shifted to who else in the outfit might have been subjected to the same scrutiny. His brother Michael provided the answer. Several key figures had been visited by investigators. As he listed the names, they read like a roll call of Chicago's most feared mobsters: Flapjack, Hitler, and Pagliacci. The final name, though unspoken, was conveyed with a simple gesture. Michael rubbed his nose, signaling that John No-Nose DeFranzo, the boss of the Chicago outfit, was among those under investigation. The mention of Pagliacci referred to Joseph Lombardo, a longtime leader within the outfit. Michael speculated that Lombardo might disappear to avoid prosecution, and he was right. "Skip, hop, he's gone," Michael predicted. And indeed, Lombardo would go on the run, evading the authorities in the days to come. Marcello, on the other hand, knew that escape wasn't in the cards for him. "Well, could you blame him?" Marcello said, reflecting on Lombardo's decision to flee. "I wish the fuck I had the opportunity." The desire to vanish, to slip away unnoticed, was palpable in his words. But Marcello's fate was sealed, and he didn't have the same opportunity. Despite offering up more than $12 million worth of properties as collateral in a desperate bid for bond, the judge remained unmoved. The request was denied, leaving Marcello behind bars, where he would remain as the trial and investigations progressed. In the end, Marcello's efforts to protect himself, whether through financial bribes or cautious moves, had delayed the inevitable but hadn't saved him from the ever-tightening grip of law enforcement. His investment in Nicholas Calabrese, though strategic, had only bought him time, and now that time was running out. The trial known as Family Secrets commenced in the summer of 2007, promising to unearth and expose the darkest and most brutal crimes committed by the Chicago outfit over decades. It was set to be one of the most significant mafia trials in U.S. history, putting a spotlight on a web of killings, conspiracies, and power struggles that had been hidden in the shadows for far too long. At the center of this legal drama stood James Marcello, along with other notorious figures from the Chicago underworld, Frank Calabrese Sr., who found himself in the unprecedented situation of being confronted by his own brother Nick and his son Frank Jr., both of whom had turned government witnesses against him, Joseph the Clown Lombardo, a feared mob leader, Paul the Indian Shiro, and Anthony Tun Doyle. Frank the German Schweiz, who Marcello's brother referred to as Hitler, was initially charged but was too ill with cancer to stand trial. He passed away in 2008, escaping the courtroom fate that awaited his former associates. The trial captivated the public as it dragged the Chicago Mafia's violent past into the open. Witnesses took the stand, revealing shocking details about years of brutal killings and the inner workings of the outfit. While Frank Calabrese Sr., Lombardo, and Doyle each made attempts to defend themselves in court, Marcello made a strategic choice to remain silent. He listened intently as testimony after testimony was delivered, some directly implicating him in heinous crimes. Nicholas Calabrese, the outfit's highest-ranking turncoat, took the stand and pointed the finger at Marcello. Michelle Spilatro, the daughter of Michael Spilatro, also testified, adding another layer of damning evidence against him. Michelle's testimony linked Marcello to the infamous 1986 murders of her father Michael and his brother Anthony Spilatro, the crime immortalized in Martin Scorsese's film Casino. She testified that Marcello had called their home twice on the day her father disappeared. Calabrese provided a chilling account of the Spilatro brothers' final moments, stating that Marcello had lured them into a trap with false promises. Tony Spilatro was told he would be promoted to capo, and his younger brother Michael was led to believe he would be initiated into the Mafia. But instead of rewards, they faced a gruesome death. Calabrese described how Marcello drove the brothers to a house in Bensonville, Illinois, where roughly 10 armed mobsters, all wearing gloves, waited for their arrival. According to the testimony, Marcello and the others beat and strangled Anthony and Michael Spilatro to death, carrying out one of the most infamous mob hits in Chicago history. Nicholas Calabrese's testimony didn't stop there. He also placed Marcello at the murder scene of another victim, mob associate Nicholas D'Andrea, who had been mistakenly beaten to death. D'Andrea had been questioned about the shooting of a high-ranking Chicago outfit member, but things quickly spiraled out of control, leading to his death. Marcello's name was now connected to multiple grisly murders, each one painting him as a central figure in the outfit's violent reign. After months of dramatic courtroom proceedings filled with intense testimony from witnesses, victims, and defendants, the jury finally delivered its verdict on September 10, 2007. Marcello was found guilty of a range of serious charges, including racketeering, illegal gambling, obstruction of justice for bribing Nicholas Calabrese, and tax evasion. However, his legal troubles didn't end there. A few weeks later, Marcello was also convicted of the double homicide of the Spilatro brothers, solidifying his role in one of the most notorious murders in Mafia history. Interestingly, he was acquitted of the murder of Nicholas D'Andrea, but the weight of the other convictions was more than enough to seal his fate. On February 5, 2009, James Marcello was sentenced to life in prison. The verdict marked the end of an era, as one of the Chicago Mafia's most influential figures was finally brought to justice, a man who had once seemed untouchable. His silence throughout the trial spoke volumes. His long and deadly career within the outfit had finally caught up with him, and there would be no escaping the life sentence handed down by the court.